This show.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm good, Perry. We were having some fun before, like we always do.
Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth.
And so I was taking one of these winter mint blasts, sugar-free, very strong breath, opens your sinuses up like eucalyptus kind of. And Perry said she could smell it. And she's in Thailand and I'm here, which is a telepathic thing. But just a hint for all of you people out there in the world that whether you know it or not, you're normally a telepathic being. And what I mean by that is, as Perry knows, it means we are in communication with each other across time and space and can be in communication with beings far beyond Earth while you're on Earth. To do that, we have to be or recover the awareness of what we are that isn't a brain or a body. It's not a genetic entity. It's not what you grew up raising. What we are that runs the body and brain is the only reason it's animated, that it moves or talks. Brains don't run themselves like people think on Earth. That's incorrect. It's a machine. Consider the brain the engine of a car, and all of the electrical wires and fuses your nervous system. And you, the being, which is spherical, or what people call soul, gets in the car, puts a key in the ignition, turns it on, the engine runs, and then you decide where the car goes. That's the same way beings run bodies. Brains and bodies do not run themselves. They don't do anything. If you leave the body, and for instance, at night when you go to sleep, the body is in a trance state, meaning that it's running automatic while you're gone. Nobody is here. Nobody's home. The body won't move. It's not aware. It doesn't, until you shock it awake, it doesn't even know where it exists. It's breathing and running, and you're running it from a distance. And people on Earth are not taught this growing up on this planet. I mean, nothing about it at all. There's no teaching on this planet that really helps children and their parents from the time kids are born to remember what they are when they were big, before they were born here, to carry that consciousness into this life. So the way the condition of the planet is, people go unconscious. They mimic the surroundings of their parents and peers and governments. They're all misdirected people because fear, subconscious programmed fear, is causing them to make incorrect choices every moment of every day about almost everything. Governments make decisions, and classified people make incorrect decisions all the time because they're in fear like everybody else. They're afraid of if they live forever, when they're going to die, what about disease? Even if they know about extraterrestrials and they can't tell their fellow people, and it imbalances them because it's a form of deception and it's negative. So they suffer just like everybody else they think they control. And they put money into something to do something and it backfires on them in space-time. And so they put money in throwing to fix that and that backfires. And it's a negative spiral on this planet of people make incorrect decisions every day and people in charge making incorrect decisions supposedly for the benefit of everyone else, and they're not. And then when they realize that doesn't work, they try to throw money at something else and try to patch it up. The problem is at the core of the being, the subconscious of people. People on Earth have an artificially created subconscious mind, and it was not put in them on this planet in this lifetime. That's a big secret. To discover that and to solve that, you have to go out into the universe beyond Earth and work with beings out there that are kind, that have the technology and the awareness to correct this. It's not on this planet. Psychiatrists and psychologists haven't got a clue about any of this. And they don't teach it. And they don't learn it getting their PhD either. They're just people thrown together on a planet with no memory of what they were or who they were or what they knew before they were born here. Different races thrown together from other worlds in a mix, a hodgepodge, a spaghetti of all these different things. And then people are asked to get along and fix everything when they can't remember anything, who they are. They think they're a body or they're a different race. And that causes a lot of mistakes in judgment and fear, and they react violently sometimes. because they are suppressed. The governments aren't suppressing the people here. The government people are suppressed. Everybody's suppressed on this planet. Almost everyone. And they don't realize that that is reversible. I bring this out to this planet from other worlds, to the awareness of people here. So what I bring here isn't native to here. It's not from this world of people that grew up unconscious. It's coming from worlds and systems, and human and otherwise, that don't have subconscious minds. They never had done to them what people on earth had done to them before they were forced to be here with no memory. Tyrants did that, not some supreme God somewhere. So there is a Earth history and a galactic history that this planet solar system belongs to that people need to recover awareness of in order to be free. I'm talking all the people on Earth. Classified people, the highest elite, the most snooty people on Earth, people that think they're royalty and lord it over everyone else. It's all an illusion. And they all know it is. Every one of them knows it's an illusion. They're caught in something they can't control. So you see, when people throw stones at anybody on Earth and blame them for their ills in life, they're throwing them in the wrong direction. The fact is, people are responsible without realizing it. Look in a mirror before you throw a stone at someone else. Because people are so unconscious here. They snap. Some people snap. They can't handle the pressure. Many people can, some cannot. So, people on Earth in the human form did not get created on this planet. The human DNA and genome structure of this type of body, whether it's you, Pari, Asian in Thailand, or Caucasian for me, and a mix of all races anyway, even though my skin's white or light, there's many different races in this genetic structure. Probably a little bit of every race on this planet. In intermarriages throughout the family trees and so forth. And that's true of everyone. But races like we have represented on Earth did not originate on this planet. Humans didn't evolve here, ever. I bring this up because it needs to be brought up so that people who hear this work can begin to remember what they were made to forget. And what was done to them to make them forget was not pleasant. So they have a fear that if they recover who they are, the same thing will be done to them, because that's part of a negative subconscious implanted program. That is a misuse of extraterrestrial technology by tyrants on people who were brought here over a very long period of time, going back 65 million years since the dinosaurs were made extinct. There have been whole cultures developed on this planet that have been wiped out virtually overnight throughout that time period. People on Earth have no idea about their own history, the history of the planet and the humans that they are living on right now. They don't know whether extraterrestrials live on other planets because the governments conveniently classify it. They're afraid of it. They know there's some tyrant races out there, mostly good, but they don't trust any of them. They want to go out and establish their ego, their militarization of space. They're never going to be allowed to take what we have on this planet, fighting between China and Russia and the US and this struggle for space, and take it out there and throw that crap on all the races that are out there, because space is already occupied by far more advanced races than we are. Many of them are human. People on Earth are headed for, I don't want to say a shock, but it will be. Let's say a shock of realization without the destruction is coming our way. Because the races that are out there are not going to tolerate us taking the garbage that we do on this planet and bring it out there to throw it on them. They're not stupid. And they're not driven by subconscious fear like people on Earth are. So they know people on Earth have to go through a big change to be free of this subconscious nonsense. And to do that, people on Earth have to ask for that help. And they're not. Governments have refused several offers like this. They're not tyrants. They don't want to force, they don't want to run governments on this screwed up planet. No race in their right mind will want anything to do with taking charge of the governments as they are here, or the religions. We leave that to the people on earth to sort that out as they recover awareness of who they are. And then they can join other worlds out there. And we're headed in that direction. Make no mistake about it. We cannot avoid it. The past prophesied destructive Armageddon destiny of this planet was permanently altered forever a few years ago, Earth time out there, not by us. Fortunately for us, we'd all be dead. Because the people on this Earth that thought it was cool to set off hydrogen bombs in our atmosphere and radiate the planet tried to destroy this place a number of times, and they were prevented from doing so. Not by us. So disclosure is inevitable for this planet. And it is not about other races coming here and taking over governments and dominating with some negative extraterrestrial agenda. No. The tyrant races that did infiltrate here and get control of an elite on this planet have been sent away. They're not by our military industrial complex, not by governments, by kind beings out of there to remove that negative influence. The harm that they caused is still present in world leaders. But the influence of them directly is no longer in this solar system. It's quarantined. Solar system is quarantined. That means people reverse engineering spacecraft and do whatever they want with a US Space Force or a China Space Force or Russia Space Force. You're not going to be able to go out and play among the stars with races out there the way we are. It would be destructive only. Nuclear weapons are outlawed outside of this planet. So how do they expect to militarize space? Okay, enough said. Needed to be said for the record. What people are afraid of with disclosure that control the classified community is an illusion. They've already been shown several things, both the good and the bad outside, but also what's taking place and is underway that we cannot control from Earth and cannot prevent for our own sake. Earth is in a place right now where it can take its place among the stars. It's a child planet. Electricity has been around for a little more than 100 years. Electricity. They take explosive rockets to the moon and back, and they think that's a big deal. You can't even take one of those rockets to Mars and back, and nobody will survive such a trip. Human beings cannot live in zero gravity 2 years each way. It's not possible. And they know that on this Earth now. So if you're going to play among the stars, you're not going to get any very far in space, even in our own solar system, traveling in rocket ships. That won't work. They need to learn how to work with that void of space, that whole energy that is between planets and moons and suns and galaxies that is not nuclear. 0-point toroidal energy. They must learn how to work with that. And with beings who use it from other worlds, because it is the energy you must work with if you want to get around the laws of physics and get far distances. And, you know, that's just on a physical level. So for anybody to go from here to Mars, it's going to take artificial gravity at least, and exercise rooms and bigger ships in their planning, because people will atrophy and die before they ever get that far. You can't sit them in a chair for 2 years each way and expect them to do work when they get to Mars. It's never going to happen that way. This is common sense, but people don't have a lot of that on Earth. They're blinded by their selfish greed or their need for power. And all that need is they want to dominate others so that others don't dominate them first. It's a subconscious, implanted, artificial program trap. And the technology and the kindness to reverse this is not on this Earth, but it can be brought here. So, one of the things the governments of this world must do to unite is to disclose fully their understanding of extraterrestrial life, even what they found as evidence of that on this Earth. And stole it away and classified it so nobody could promote it. That's temporary. None of that. It's like trying to put a wall up against a wave that's as big as the universe moving this way. So let's build a wall. And the wall is dishonesty and deception. It's going to melt that wall away and rush right over this planet through and sway through this solar system. There isn't any wall they can build that's big enough that will stop what's coming this way from coming this way. It's for the benefit of all life on this planet and for the benefit of all life outside of this planet. And that's important for people to begin to understand this, that we are living on a planet at a time when unexpected, uplifting, dramatic change is taking place here and more to come. It's not the end of the world. It's not an Armageddon. It's a recovery of who and what we are as beings, so we can grow up and take our place offered, including the technology and how to use it, among the stars with others who have grown up. That's really what's taking place now. Everything else is a big illusion being perpetrated around the world by people who are promoting fear of the present and the future. That is a complete misuse of the creative imagination. As beings, not bodies or brains, our job as beings, comprised of an energy that is not nuclear or atomic. It cannot be destroyed by hydrogen weapons. You can destroy bodies, but not the being running those bodies. Beings need to be aware of what this is that they are and how to work with that one energy that everything floats in out there in the universe. Most of it's this black void people see in time-lapse photographies from the Hubble telescope of billions of galaxies and all the colors that go into spectrums human eyes can't see. That energy is huge compared to the little galaxies that float in it. And it's on multiple levels. So let's go now into, unless you have any questions, Pari. Your mic, you have to unmute your mic there.
I don't have any questions, but I have this message from Olympia Martinez. She said, I look forward every week to your YouTube show, What Scott Talks About. I feel I have known about all my life. What he says that not surprise me at all. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and it shouldn't surprise you. It may be first to cross your path through me on this planet. That's why I came to this planet, really. I didn't know that when I was forced to be in a body here without my consent or will. I came here on a mission to talk to government leaders at one time, long time ago. But that mission was intercepted, and I was put on this planet, forced to forget, like everyone else, really. And then I had to go through an extraordinary process, keeping my mouth shut this lifetime to recover what some beings thought could never be recovered. And if I can recover it and continue to recover more of what we are that isn't the physical body and never was, then so can everyone else. Because I represent vast numbers of races of beings outside of Earth that know this stuff. It's very simple. In the human language, people assume that human language is actually developed on this planet. That is not true at all. They may have changed over time as they were brought here, but they were brought here from elsewhere. In English, the word human, first half of which is HU, simply stands for human, woman, the genetic form of human as we are. It stands for the one toroidal 0-point energy that is behind and supporting, and everything floats in the entire grand multidimensional creation. Many dimensional levels. There's 122, 144 parallel dimensions in the physical universe alone. Milky Way galaxy, Milky Way galaxy, Milky Way galaxy, just levels. And beings that have more advanced technology can move even in craft between them within the physical universe before you get to what's called the next major division. We call it the astral plane on Earth, where all emotion generates from. So there's a lot that people on earth need to remember they once knew. So when I do my work, eventually, ultimately, what's happening is people are beginning to remember things they were made to forget, and then they start to co-create their way with us and others out of this trap of amnesia they're suffering from on this earth, driven by subconscious fear of the future. And that's really what they're afraid of. They're not sure if they live after the body dies. They don't know what it is to leave their body consciously. They doubt everything. Everything's theory and speculation to them. And that's a good way to be controlled your whole life. Just believe, just deal with theory, no facts, nobody knows. And then you just stay in doubt until you die. And then you're compelled, compulsively compelled, usually to reincarnate in another body with no memory. It's a program. It didn't get originated on this planet either. So being aware of this, even without knowing how to change it, begins a process for the Atma, the spherical nature of our being, what people call soul. It begins a process of recovery because we're meant to be leaving the physical body that we run, especially when you put the body to sleep at night, and go back to the source from whence we originate, to deliver new ways and new insights of how to solve the bigger problems in eternity. This is what the nature and purpose of a human being really is all about. We are co-creators with the one energy behind and supporting all life, and we're comprised of that same energy, individualized. That one energy is the people pray to, they call divine spirit, is a co-creator with us. We're a co-creator with it. What you imagine in it, good or bad, it just brings it creates. It's completely unbiased. We're meant to learn from this, to use our imagination, what we imagine, what we feel, to only create that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life. And not limited to just life on earth. No. All life. Another way of interpreting what divine love is to say respect for all life. It's a higher use of that than divine love. Anybody can interpret that any way they want, selfishly or otherwise, and they do. Respect for all life is respect for the being running a body, not this, and knowing it. Respect for beings running bodies that come from other planets, who they are, and seeing it and knowing it, is divine love. If we want to play in the multiverse, out in the universe, out among the stars, we cannot militarize space with the concepts of people as they live on Earth today, taking it out there, struggling in competition with each other. Beings out there have long since put that foolish, childish, destructive nature aside. And they've gotten over the hurdle of their planet surviving this critical point of self-destruction. And out there in galactic history, some race somewhere probably came by their doorway at the last second before they annihilated themselves and helped them turn the course in a new direction. We're not alone in the universe. If we were, we'd all be dead from nuclear war already. They tried to do it and were stopped. Do you think the people who purposely set off hydrogen bombs on this planet, knowing it would radiate the life on this entire planet, get into the jet stream and spread around, do you think that they had the consciousness not to push the button for a nuclear war if they push came to shove? Well, of course they didn't have the consciousness. They would have reacted and done it, and they tried. Okay. The reason we're alive today is not because people didn't attempt nuclear war during the Cold War on this planet. It's because something else stepped in without running governments. Not the bad guys from outer space, the good guys, and at least prevented that. Because it would harm life elsewhere in the solar system, in parallel dimensions. There are many interdimensional doorways on this planet that lead to other places, if you know how to find them. And we don't have the right to pollute all that other life against their will because we're too crazy down here and blow ourselves up. No, we don't have the right to do that. And we're not going to be given that right, fortunately. So let's go into the hue, the first half of the word human. What is it? Why is it? What is it I'm doing when I do that? Well, first of all, let's look at the human body, which is a machine that runs at 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit. The brain is not what you think with. The brain is not capable of imagining anything. That's not its purpose. The being running the brain through the pineal gland in the center of the brain, the controlling gland for which beings run bodies and put energy into and out of them, is how the being that is not the body runs it, animates it. As a being grows up the body grows to adulthood, more of the, well, supposedly more of the intellectual capacity and mind function and emotional maturity and the ability to emotion on a more mature level comes from other realities. It doesn't get developed in one lifetime in a brain growing up on a planet like Earth that doesn't teach anybody anything about anything relative to other worlds and higher dimensions. They're stuck in a materialistic consciousness believing they are bodies. They're not. They never have been. They never will be. More advanced races out among the stars understand this. They don't question it. They don't theorize about it, speculate about it, debate about it. They know by direct experience. So a very young planet who's just getting to the point where it could be permanently changed and join races amongst the stars and really accelerate their entire evolution vastly in a short period of time, like Earth is right now. It has a choice to accept the assistance of kind beings elsewhere that are more evolved than we are, yet they don't place themselves on a pedestal above us. Only people on Earth do that with each other. Unless you're a tyrant race out there, and there are very few of them that travel the stars, and they're policed. You don't do that because you know that the beings running those bodies on Earth that don't remember anything, the Atmas themselves, the soul has been made to be unconscious, have great potential. And you can't disrespect them just because they're in ignorance and unconscious and forget everything that they ever knew. They don't remember what was done to them and put them here. So they say, it's God. I had a God contract. I agreed to come here with no memory. No being in their right consciousness would ever agree to do that. Well, see, I've lived 1 billion years. I came from the higher worlds. Oh, and this archangel told me I should come here with no memory and that I'd get it right and I have a fresh start and I could be born as a baby and not know anything. What? How can you get anything right if the wisdom of 1 billion lifetimes as a being and not a body is deprived you when you come to this earth? You're going to make nothing but mistakes, like the leaders on this planet are doing every day, thinking it's right or self-righteous. And they know it isn't. They know something's missing from them. All of that is recoverable. What am I doing when I put out you? The being I am, not the body you see on this Zoom recording, is a sphere. It has a white core. It has all the color spectrums of light running through it. It's built in concentric layers. It goes from a white core to a yellow to orange to red to green to blue to lavender to violet to golden exterior. It is what we are structured like in the image or in the likeness of the source, the prime creator behind all life. It isn't this, and that's very yeah. But you should, because otherwise people are never going to see it on Earth. They're not going to even begin the process of recovering who they are. And it looks like this. This is something that was created between myself and an artist very carefully to be on the front cover of the Emerald Doorway book. 2 books that I've published in my company now, worldwide. That image on this book is proprietary. It means it's copywritten. It means it should be respected. No one's charging money for this image on this book. You pay for the book, yes. But on the front cover of this Emerald Doorway book, you can see an opening to a fifth dimension. This is the first plane above the void known to certain Buddhists and other esoteric groups. There's a 30-foot in diameter scout ship with 3 hemispheric pods in the bottom, and there's 3 humans hovering on anti-gravitic discs that have come out of that ship, piloted by this guy. And that is a master teacher. He's holding a device. It looks like a quartz crystal staff glowing with golden light. It's got an ankh, a sign for eternity, like a cross with an oval hole and an opening at the top. And this image is, these beings do not realize this at this point. This is actually a scene from the book. Real actors were cast to portray these images for the artistry that was created for this original cover. It's a scene from the book. This is a Dren. He is from another world. He can levitate and fly through the air. His tail glows like bright opal in bright sunlight. And he's a cute little guy. I can show you an image of him. He's also a master teacher, but he is not human and he's not from Earth. This book has 30 illustrations of scenes and characters, very highly defined, including the guy on the back of this cover. And in it, you'll find about what happened before the last poles flipped on this planet, destroyed all life on the surface, overnight, 24 hours, gone. New continents rose up quite violently, quite dramatically. 6 ice ages in 600,000 years. That's classified, just how violent and quick it is. Okay, what happened here involved extraterrestrials, many of them human, that were involved with Earth. This scene right here, what's left here is the continents that were brought back up when the poles flipped in Lemuria, and most of Atlantis, what was called that at the time, which was a continent 2/3 the size of Lemuria, centered over the equator on the other side of the planet, when the poles were 180 degrees opposite of where they are today. And so they're hovering over, being introduced to what's called the Ancient One in this book. What they don't realize is that this, in a smaller degree, is hovering above each of their heads, what people on Earth call soul. And it's identical with this in way, shape, form, structure, and capability on a smaller scale. The void of space out there beyond the planet is the medium through which this works that connects all beings together and supports everything. It is not nuclear or atomic in nature. You'll learn a lot there. This is the Serays agenda. And this Serays are a human race, very tall compared to people on Earth, the most ancient races in many galaxies, 18 to 25 feet tall. And so this has to do with the introduction of the Serays ambassador to a galactic alliance core group of 5,000 member group of worlds that represent more than 450 million spacefaring races in just 1/2 of our Milky Way galaxy. Now, this is a mile-long cylindrical ship stationed in the ice rings of Saturn, because the rings of Saturn are made of ice. Here's a gas giant with no water. How did a whole system of ring of ice get up there? Scientists know it's ice, but they don't know how it got there. So you've got this ship stationed here inside the rings with an electromagnetic field around it. It's protected from running into them. These are scout craft, 30-foot diameter, and they're entering the center section of this ship. They change an electromagnetic field up a bit, changes the molecular time rate, and they pass right through the molecules of the craft. There's no open hangar bay doors in the ship. There's a control room on each end. It's made for going through interdimensional doorways. This is an Emerald Star Cruiser. It's one of the smaller ones of the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds, which is centered near the galactic core of our galaxy. This is the stuff people should know about on Earth now. This is Mark Sanfield, the main character of this book, a real actor portraying it. These guys in the background are not from Earth. He's on a solo camping trip in the high Sierras, and they're going to kill him. They're blasting apart a section, dematerializing a section of this giant tree. This ship is beaming him aboard to save his life. And the pilot of this ship is human from another world. And that begins his journey to recovering who he is. This book is more about what's taking place out in the galaxy amongst the Galactic Alliance and other races, and master teachers that work with them and people from higher dimensions, how things have changed out there that is bringing about a change in a unique way to Earth to make it survive this transition in a way that has never happened before in history, something new in creation. So this reveals much about that and how these two beings, Mark Sanfield and Janice Carter on Earth, cousins, find out they're not from Earth and how they got put in bodies here with no memory. This is very important. In the back of this book is a whole technique section developed off-world by friends of mine and myself for the benefit of people on Earth that work for the prologue and all 29 chapters, involving the work with the hue to open the pineal gland, connect people up, help them begin to remember in a safe way. The process makes people more balanced as they go deeper into it. It doesn't make them flip out and go live like somebody in a teepee somewhere and give up all the material things and leave their family. That's not what it does. It's something that brings about an awakening of the being that's not the body. And there's a maturity and a certain protection that goes along with its use that people need to experience for themselves in order for them to know it. So we should go from faith is okay, but faith should lead to direct experience. So people become mature beings. They become the knower. They become capable of being trusted to be a co-creator with the source behind all life, which is the purpose for the existence of us. This thing people pray to, they call divine spirit, is a co-creator. It's a living field of energy, one field of energy that moves through the whole creation and supports things that float in it, like galaxies. It isn't atomic. It's not protons and electrons and neutrons. It's something finer, deeper behind it. People in the CERN Super Collider, Large Hadron Collider in CERN, Switzerland, found and detected this. It doesn't obey the laws of physics, at least not like they thought. And so they call it the God particle, because it's behind matter. It's that energy we have to work with to play among the stars and to become awake and aware as beings. They're both connected. Both the spirituality of it, if you want to call it that, or the conscious awareness of it, and how to work with that energy through devices and technology in space, between planets, between dimensions, and all that. So Pari, you want to?
Would you like to talk about the fund that you want to say something?
Oh,
yes.
I think Pari wanted me to say something. I didn't do it last time, I don't think. There were several people. I've already had someone come out from the woodwork that's helped this work initially. Much respected. But there is several very wealthy people, particularly two, that are being worked with when they're out of their bodies at night, to get them awake and aware of what they are that isn't a body, so they can utilize this great host or mass of energy they've acquired in wealth and put it to use in a careful way so that it actually helps to free this planet, helps to change it so it can take its place among the stars in a practical way with those who can help us do it. And they aren't on Earth. They are not. So, those people are being prepared. They will contact me when they're ready. They'll know who they are. It's not by interfering with their free will or controlling their mind or anything like that. This is through the fact that they become more liberated as a being, recover who they are more, and then know what to do with the energy and the responsibility they have with that energy. So they can help support what I'm doing to help it go into the feature film business, these screenplays, the books, they're already written. And there is a whole carefully laid out plan and structure to how that's going to be done. I work with people from other worlds, many of them human, and master teachers. I work with Ambassador Torellian. He is the ambassador from the Say-Rays race. They are human, many more strands of DNA than we have, but we get our DNA from them originally, several billion years ago out in the galaxy. Human beings in the form on Earth that we experience are not due. They did not come from Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal. Those are extinct humanoid species. We are not linked to them. You will not find a link to them. That's theory. There is never going to be found any proof on this planet that we came out of the swamps, came from monkeys, or Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon, because we didn't. Those species were brought here from other planets as well. Think about what I just said. Human beings evolved long ago out in the galaxies and came here when this planet could be safely inhabited after the dinosaurs were made extinct. People have the ability to know and remember their history as a being before this life. That's part of how that 0 point of toroidal energy works, actually. Okay, so I want to get that out there. When we go on a journey like we do in these radio shows, thanks to Pari and her courage to do them, it takes some courage because no one else is doing it on this entire planet, anywhere, on the internet or any place. It doesn't make me superior to anyone. I don't put myself above others. I'm not and would not tolerate people putting me on a pedestal or worshiping me like a guru or a god or anything like that. We are fellow beings. What's running this body is the Atma. The Atma, the real me, is spherical. Ask yourself this question carefully. You people in the classified community, you people in the governments, anywhere on this earth, why are worlds and moons and suns round? Giving a pat answer like, oh, because gravity holds them together and they spin and they're round. No, they could be square triangles or anything else. They're round because they're patterned after their creators. Meaning, the soul of the Atma, the living energy that is non-nuclear, the 0 point, the toroidal energy itself. And the beings that comprise it, the beings that move in it, ride it like a current, like an ocean wave, on a sound and light as beings. They are round, spherical, and there is structure to them. And each of the little teardrop structures that are self-luminous in each layer of an individual being is a higher faculty of godly power. Not a power to be used to dominate others, but a power that works with the one power. When you imagine properly into it, it provides the power, the means, and the circumstances to do what you've imagined. On earth, people are busy creating negative and positive things every day of the week in ignorance of how they were brought up, all over the world. Classified people, government people, military people, religious people, doesn't matter. The religions that are known on earth as they are now don't exist on other worlds out in the universe. Now that's important because beings that are out there that really know the source behind all life, this prime creator, know it directly. We are capable of comprehending that source. People on earth don't believe you. You're in a brain and body, of course you're not going to comprehend it. But the Atma running a brain and body is made of the same thing, identical, and it can connect to it and comprehend it. This is one of the great things that I'm bringing to this world through this work, is that beings have the ability to comprehend what they think is the supreme being. And that, whatever that is way beyond where they think it is. It's way beyond the 5 lower dimensions of time and space, beyond this big void barrier up there. It's way up in the higher realities. Each single being running a body on earth today originated there. They've long since forgotten that. And they're running in fear, and it's driven subconsciously. It's programmed in such a way that when it's stimulated or activated, it affects the nervous system of the human body. Subconscious. But it's done so you don't hear or see what's that terrorizing program. You just feel it. And the feeling causes people to misdirect their imagination and make mistakes. Keeps them bound to earth, ignorant and unconscious of who and what they really are. This process that's underway now cannot be reversed. And it's not being orchestrated by anybody on this planet, tyrant or good people. It's coming through the universe and it's moving through the solar system, and it's only moving one way. I want to make sure people understand this. It is not meant to destroy people in an Armageddon. It's meant to help them, to the best degree possible, make this transition into recovery without destruction. What destruction takes place on this planet is being done by people in fear, not by beings outside, not by the source behind life. So we need to know that. If I send out the tones of the hue, with your permission, Pari, then what I'm doing is connecting telepathically to all the beings who don't on Earth, most of whom do not remember who they are or what they are. It is not an invasion of their psyche, because I don't work with psychic energies. I work with the source behind all life itself, like many other races and many beings outside of Earth. And that source is not positive and negative, like the energies that comprise the lower worlds of time and space. It is the energy that is not that, behind that, supporting it, good and bad, whatever it might be. So we connect into that through the hue, which is its function. The hue did not get created. It's the first sound behind creation before the lower worlds of time and space were ever made. It did not get created by any man or being on this planet, or any planet in the solar system or the galaxy. It didn't get created in the physical universe. It didn't get created in the worlds of time and space. It was and is and has always been before they were even created. And so are we, all of us. So how old are the beings unconsciously, misdirectingly running bodies on Earth? They have no clue how ancient they really are, because something happened in universal history, let's say, that took all that away or forced it out of people. And that has to do with tyrants that have been out there, and tyrants that eventually were defeated, and tyrants that are now policed, and tyrants that are going through a great change right now out there. So that's going to have a good effect on Earth here, not a negative one. People in governments and classified arenas right now are just very much afraid of full disclosure, because they've been so busy lying to people to cover things up. They figure they're going to be a target, but this isn't the way this energy works. It moves through all the people of Earth. Government people, higher than them, classified government people. It's working with everybody when they're out of their bodies at night, right now. And it's beginning to help them when they're in a freer state from the negative atmosphere of Earth that surrounds Earth, full of negative things. Out in space, there's no negative. Out in the void of space, that energy that looks black to people, which is really a white golden light, when they get out as a being, they can see it clearly. Physical eyes can't detect it. It's in a higher frequency, but it's there. Did you have something you wanted to? No? Okay, so when I put out this hue, others that I know of, not on Earth, are doing this with me for your benefit. No monetary systems involved. They don't even use money. So get that aside and out of the way right now in any conscious spirit thing you may be thinking of. This is something that's pure from the very source behind all life that runs through the entire multidimensional creation and supports it. All that this is doing is helping to shut off subconscious programs so that you have the opportunity to go on this journey by seeing it in the imagination. What you would call daydreaming is not made up in your brain. That's just ignorance on Earth. That's not how this works. The brain can't imagine anything, but you running the brain can and does all the time. Maybe haphazardly, fear of the future, good for your family, good making success, being wealthy, being healthy, but then afraid of Armageddon, and all this mix creates a split in the consciousness of beings. So they imagine in opposing directions. And this omnipresent force they pray to is a co-creator. And it'll simply bring that into their life. So we really want to utilize our ability to see and know things in the multiverse we come from by intentionally and deliberately choosing not to focus on the habit of fear and negativity that surround us on earth. Instead, place it in the hue and focus your imagination on creating only uplifting, beneficial things to all life. And it must be done in a way that takes you outside of earth, out in the creation where most of God is, so that you respect life out there as well. If you send that hue out that way, it's connecting with this one power, this one energy, and telling it you're ready to be set free, and it will help you recover who you are. This is a co-creative act that requires each individual's direct participation. I will send these out, and then we'll go on a journey. Had to close the door on earth. When I go into this, my body is in the trance state we call sleep, something that I've learned how to do over time. Everyone puts their body to sleep at night like some kind of master. They just simply know how to do it. But they don't understand the complex process that's involved in doing that. So if my eyes are open or closed, or I'm talking with you, my body's in the same state yours should be now. It means your eyes are closed, you're comfortable in a chair, lying on a bed or something. Take several breaths, and when you breathe out, you know that you're simply working with the hue to shut off negative subconscious programs, and it will do that for you. When people go to bed at night and take fear of the present or the future with them into the dream state, what they call it, They're going to get jumbled up experiences or nightmares and wake up with all kinds of silly stuff. Because the energy they go into when they leave the body every single night is a co-creator with us, good or bad, whatever we put out. So we want to make sure that we don't bring anything of a negative nature and start working with the hue, sending it out like you heard me do it, requesting the cooperation and co-creativity of beings that are free, that don't have subconscious minds that can help you recover who you are. You don't pray to them. You don't beg them for favors. You respect them and they respect you. Imagine yourself floating near the ceiling where you live. If you're in a car, that's fine. You're up above the hood of the car or the top. If you're lying in the grass, you're up above your body. Remember, I'm just sharing with all of you what you do every night anyway, but unconsciously, without really realizing what you're doing. When you lay down to put the body to sleep, the being you are, not the brain, sends a little energy beam into the pineal gland in the center of the brain and causes it to create serotonin, makes melatonin. These are chemicals, these are elements which keep the body running on automatic while you're gone at a distance from it. In other words, the heart works, the blood pumps, everything works, you're breathing, but nobody is home. The connection you have through the hue from the core of your being that is spherical to the pineal gland is unbreakable. It is not nuclear in nature. A hydrogen bomb could not separate. It could destroy your body, but it couldn't break this link. It's not a golden cord or a silver cord between the astral and the physical that can be broken. It is much deeper and pure. It is not part of the material worlds of time and space. It is energy, but not nuclear, not atomic in nature. And so, be above your body near the ceiling. You are spherical in shape. This is what soul really looks like, what I showed on the front cover of the book and that Pari held up. This is who and what you are, that's made in the image of the source behind all life, not the physical human body. Smile kindly down on that form that's sleeping in the trance state. This means your ears could still hear a truck go by or some noise in the house because it's transmitting to the conscious link you have to it while it's asleep. So you have a conscious link to it. But it's safe and sound, so your attention should be focused on my voice and focused with your imagination where we are. You are hovering above your body. Just see it. Just like you daydream. When you daydream or imagine something where you're in a classroom and you're bored and you look out the window and you see the parking lot, the eyes are seeing the parking lot, the blackboard, maybe the teacher. The physical eyes are taking in light from the physical world. But when you imagine being in the mountains or at the beach or somewhere else, the brain in your head is not doing that at all. You are. Be aware of this, because you're not taught this on earth anywhere that I know of, not this way. It is something you all once knew, and it's something you need to recover. This is the beginning of wisdom and the beginning of the recovery of your true purpose for existing, which is to be a consciously aware Atma, soul, co-creator with the source energy behind all life, the hue, first sound behind creation, toroidal, omnipresent, zero-point energy, whatever you want to call it, and your purpose to co-create with the source from which you originated. be in space above the planet. That's right, just you're in outer space, higher than the space shuttle ever flew, further away from Earth than the International Space Station. And suddenly you realize that you're a spherical being lighting up the darkness of space. And you are hovering in a circle of beings around a very dear friend of mine. And you can see the Earth down there with polar ice caps and the oceans and the land masses you're familiar with. And you can see the barren moon circling it. It does not turn on its axis, full of meteoric craters and no oxygen atmosphere, no atmosphere of anything to speak of. Very little gravity. The sun off in the distance and billions of stars that make up the Milky Way galaxy. You can see them clearly, but behind them, underneath them, between the Earth, the moon, the sun, and the stars, and out in space between galaxies and on up through dimensions, is a white golden light. The Atlas sees this clearly. It is not nuclear in nature, this, whatever this, what people call dark matter in space, isn't matter at all. Certainly isn't nuclear. The real emptiness, so-called, between galaxies, all that blackness that they see in time-lapse photography from Hubble or satellites or whatever, only appears that way to human eyes on Earth because the human eyes are not designed to see into high enough frequency to see it. So it appears black, but it isn't. Instruments on Earth can show you what it looks like. They show you all these colors of gases, infrared and ultraviolet and X-ray. These are just different frequencies of light. The speed of light is not limited to 286,000 miles per second. That's just what human eyes are capable of seeing and detecting it as. It doesn't stop there. In space, you find yourself to be a spherical, luminous being. A friend of mine, his name is Ambassador Turelian. He is human, not from Earth, very ancient, and he's showing you the sphere he is looks like you in the center of a circle of us around him, high in space, near the planet Earth and its moon. And I am hovering beside him, and I'm showing you a body that looks like mine on Earth, about 36 years old, perfectly healthy, radiantly trim, standing there in space, smiling. Turelian's body, forming now, is 18 feet tall, quite a bit taller than me. He has long, slightly curly blonde hair, big blue eyes, slightly white gown, slightly pointed ears, looks like a Greek god. He's holding two thumbs up with his hands out, and there's a white golden light radiating around them. And you can hear a sound coming from that light, not just from his thumbs, but the energy around us that's moving through the white core of our being. We are in direct communication with it here. Here's what you need to know. Nothing of any negative or positive nature exists in this void of space. It is contained within the atmosphere of the planet Earth and does not leave it. It vibrates all the negative things, imagination and things done to people on Earth in its history are still contained as frequencies within the atmosphere itself, bouncing off the ionosphere just like a radio wave. Out here in space, we cannot bring such things with us. You cannot record negative emotion and imagination in this ether that is that energy between all things. That is not possible. Turelian, who's kindly, he's showing you a body that his race immortalized over 1 billion Earth years ago. That doesn't mean they made it eternally youthful for like 36 years old, like the body I'm showing you, made of energy. Looks just like me, but it's pure energy. It's a projection of the I am, hovering behind and above it. And Turelian is showing you a body, what it looked like before they did something most extraordinary. They simply dematerialized it, stored it in one of the teardrops of one of the layers of the appa that they are. Then they utilized the one energy behind all creation, the hue itself, the sound and light that manifests all things, supports all things. and they simply fill the light grid pattern around the DNA, and presto, you got a body standing there. This one's pure energy, but he could manifest one on Earth and walk around amongst people there, should he choose to do so. And you can walk up and touch it. But when he's done using it, he doesn't have the cumbersome responsibility of running that body around for a lifetime. He'll just dematerialize it and store it for the next years. The Sayrays were, you could say, highly evolved genetic scientists of a kind. They helped bring body forms up in evolution, like human and other races, human, humanoid, and non-human, and brought them up with a part of their DNA to be spacefaring capable. The bodies that they helped bring into creation were designed so that the beings could run higher faculties of creativity through them. That way, a body, say on the physical Earth, could experience sight, taste, sound, smell, touch, impressions, emotional and mental of that environment, communicated back to the Atma, which was meant to be taken back to the source behind all life. And people have not been returning there. So what is underway now is a process to get people who no longer remember who they are returning to the source while they're still running physical bodies in different dimensions. Terrellium is simply holding up a consistent energy of the pure source behind all life and maintaining it during these journeys so that we eventually emulate that and recover our awareness of such things. Terrifying experiences in your past and many lifetimes beyond this life on Earth, out there among the stars and in other realities, are what block people from remembering who they are. They're afraid that if they do, the same terrible thing will happen to them. But this is not true. The things that happened to them, the tyrants that did it, have been quarantined, let's say, away from interfering with this solar system where Earth is anymore, permanently. So we have the opportunity now to really recover and have a worldwide transformation take place in an unexpected way for the first time in the entire history, not only of this galaxy, but of the grand multidimensional creation itself. This change is coming from outside the Earth, moving through the solar system, through certain kind of devices. It is heading in only one way. It cannot be manipulated, possessed, controlled, or dominated by any being of lower dimensions or by any technology whatsoever. And it has a form. It takes the shape of a pyramid. There's one station between two stable asteroids. It's quite large in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter in our solar system right now. And it's turned on. There are 3 on Earth, 2 in the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, and 1 inside an hollowed out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas. And they are connected. This is not being done to control people, invade their psyche, and dominate them. It's done to liberate them from control mechanisms that are now misdirecting their lives through subconscious fear programs. What is required of us of Earth to get these beings to come here and land everywhere and offer their technical and expert assistance, both in science, even in spiritual awareness, for the benefit of all life, requires that we ask them. They have prevented the world from destroying itself in nuclear war already. They're not interested in running governments here. They're interested in governments becoming mature and representing their people in trust and for the greatest good of all life, as it should be. This is going to require full disclosure on a planetary scale of the knowledge and awareness of extraterrestrial life. Because we aren't alone and never have been. It's time people on Earth were made aware of this. They are actually ready for it. If it's done in the proper way, then it can be done without destruction. People on Earth will become mature enough to play among the stars and will be allowed to do so, invited to even. First, we have to make the change. Terrellian is moving his hand now, his two thumbs, and you can see the Earth you're looking at and the moon change. And now you're looking at an Earth in the same place, but there are no polar ice caps, covered in beautiful blue-green oceans, a big landmass centered over the equator from the left to the right hemisphere, covering half the planet. It extends upward to about a third below the North Pole and about a third above the South Pole. You can see right through the planet as the atmosphere, and there's another continent, 2/3 its size, centered over the equator on the other side of the planet. When you look to the moon here, you'll see it's covered in oxygen, atmosphere, rain clouds, number of domed cities, countryside, little lakes and rivers, 3 four-sided golden pyramids with quartz caps in each one, and as the moon turns on its axis, going around this planet Earth, you can see 2 big dome cities centered in the mountainous area on the backside. This is the way the moon running around the Earth should be. A dead moon that doesn't turn on its axis is not normal, and it negatively affects the water that make up most of human bodies, just like tides, emotionally. You're looking at a planet, Earth and Moon, and the Sun in the distance that is existing in the 3rd higher parallel dimension of the physical universe at a higher molecular time rate. We've just raised the vibration so that you can perceive it. The atma is capable of moving between dimensions. Of course it is. In spaceships within the physical dimensions, or as the atma outside and beyond bodies and spaceships. More advanced extraterrestrial races that travel the stars grow up on worlds knowing what they are that isn't a body from the time they're born. And the people and the governments and parents all encourage this and know this. So they, on an average number of worlds out in our Milky Way galaxy, children, by the time they're 10, have an equivalent education capability of 10 PhDs. And this is normal because they have photographic memories, they're telepathic, they use 100% of their brain, not 6 to 10% like people on Earth are told they use, and that's normal. Earth humans are not yet normal. They're not yet recovered in this way. It's not something Earth humans need to recover and master in the future. It's something they need to recover now and recover their awareness of their ability that they are this way. We are telepathic. If a young man sees a beautiful woman, the beautiful body walking across the street, and he says, admires that or just thinks she's beautiful, and she turns around and sees him, there is a telepathic link there. People on Earth call it intuition. It's unconscious, but it's actually telepathic. These kinds of things, these abilities as beings, were known well by people on Earth long ago out in the universe. Do you remember that Emerald Star Cruiser I showed you on the front cover of the Say Raise Agenda book at the beginning of this radio show? Well, let's go visit it. You're going to see now there are a number of other fellow men and women, spherical atmas hovering in front of mature men and women, about 36, perfectly healthy, standing in space. That's right, in the void of space, which is almost near absolute zero. Us as beings do not feel heat and cold. We don't feel radiation from the sun. And we're in that so-called emptiness in space. It's not empty at all. You can see it's saturated with a white golden light, pulsing and radiating everywhere. You can see all the billions of stars of the Milky Way galaxy. You look up, down, left, right, everywhere, clearly floating in this other type of energy. And then you see Turelian just move his hand towards the distance in space. You look away from Earth, and you see a blue-green tunnel begin to form, whirling clockwise. It's like made of little blue-green stars, and you can hear a sound humming through it. And you can see down this tunnel, and you see magnified on the other end the planet Saturn with its rings. And then Turelian moves towards it, and we're in a circle around him. You're going to see several hundred other beings, men and women, who are master teachers, members of the Galactic Alliance, in another wider circle around us. And then we're moving into this opening. You're going to see a white golden light energy bubble form around us, and then we're going to dart into that opening. And when you look out through this energy barrier, this blue-green thing, you can see the stars of space whirling past. And an instant later, we come out hovering the other side of it. You look behind you, see this vortex close and vanish. You can just see the sun way off in the distance. You don't see Earth anymore. And you look down and you can see up near the upper level of these ice rings, about 1.5 miles thick, that circle the planet Saturn, big gas giant. There is a long cylindrical ship with a radiant, thin blue antigravitic light around it. And we're going to move through these ice particles that make up the rings of Saturn, pass right through them harmlessly, until we're in a kind of a void that this ship's created around itself, hovering there with Turelian and these other master teachers, men and women around us, all of us on this journey, Pari and myself. And then you can see that there are a number of scout craft about 30 feet wide with a blue antigravitic light around them, 3 hemispheric pods in the bottom, moving into, one at a time, to the central section of this mile-long Emerald Star cruiser. And as they approach it, you can see they raise their vibration, the energy of the field around the ship, until they become transparent, and they pass right through the molecular structure of the hull. And you see an opening through that hull, and then you see them lower their energy down to become a solid object, and they land near others in a long football field-sized hangar bay. And then you find yourself inside the hangar bay, and it's huge. And off to the left are 24 rows of scout craft parked in neat rows. And off to the right and behind us are a number of craft being worked on by technicians who have snake-like skin, smooth, violet eyes, red eyes, different kind of hair, different ears, some with blue, pale blue skin, some with green skin. Many humanoid, bigger eyes than us, maybe slightly pointed ears. And they aren't casually looking at us, they know we're here. And we just move until we are standing in these body forms that look just like you, about 36. The sphere that we are is hovering above it, the Atma, Turelian 2, and we stand on this conveyor belt that goes from the left to the right side, all the way down through a triangular luminous opening to one on the left. And we step on it and get whisked along until we come to the end. And then we enter a very tall triangular hallway. Turelian just shrinks himself down and moves through it, or just becomes the sphere and passes right through the walls. We can do this too. But for the experience of being here, we want a physical type form to look around and see things and experience smell and taste and sight and the pure oxygen atmosphere and all that. We're going to go a short ways down this beautiful hall, triangular, and the walls are luminous. And we're going to come out and take a turn to the left and come into a very large lounge type of area inside the ship, one of many. It's a little bit towards the front, away from the central section, headed towards the front of the bridge control you see in the image on the cover of the book, the Series Agenda. And you're standing down, looking at your bare feet, wiggling your toes in a plush blue carpet. A couple is beginning to stand up from behind an oval blue glass top table from two chairs that are egg-shaped with blue cushions and white. And they are about 6 feet tall, slightly pointed ears, a little bit larger eyes than humans, man and a woman, beautiful long hair. They have a kind of a single piece gown on, which is a clothing they wear, and on the right chest area is a pyramid, golden four-sided, hovering above the white nucleus of a silvery galaxy, and above the point of the pyramid, 3 stars set in triangular formation above it. And that is an emblem of the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds. And they're the commanders of the ship, and they slightly nod their head with a right hand over their chest and greet you. Everyone here can hear them say, so hello. Torellian, as you can see, this is a 60-foot high chamber. He's standing over behind us, 18 feet tall, smiling with his 2 thumbs still up. And then you look around and you begin to realize there are hundreds of ship's personnel here in elegant garb, all with that symbol on their right chest, from different races, human, humanoid, and others, men and women, and they're approaching each of you, the right hand over their chest and a nod. And they're simply telling you that if you wish to come here when you're out of your body at night, with friends like Torellian or others, or some of the master teachers, the men and women who you see standing in the background with Torellian, several hundred, then they will assist you to recover more and wake up more if you ask them. Turn around and look at these men and women. You're going to see many of them are wearing this symbol of the Galactic Alliance on their right chest. Some are not. Some are more like, they're not Galactic Alliance personnel. They are men and women from other worlds, even different realities, other dimensions, and they are considered to be master teachers. Kind. They will not allow you to put them on a pedestal, but they will allow you to respect yourself and to respect them. These beings can tutor you or help you recover your own abilities as an Atma every night when you leave your body, because you do it every night anyway. We're spending time on this ship in our local physical universe, the solar system. We've gone to higher dimensions, even to the U Expansion Ray Academy on other journeys. But this one is closer to home. This one is to get grounded for people on Earth on the journey, to recover their ability to not be afraid and to respect all life in the multiverse, not just life on Earth. Here, everyone in this lounge area aboard this wondrous cruiser that's stationed permanently in the ice rings of Saturn in our solar system. Ships patrol our solar system now, not from Earth, to make sure tyrants don't enter it again. This is why certain types of beings that were tyrants that were in bases underground on Earth, and why little gray guys abducting people do not take place anymore. And they haven't for several decades. Each of you have the ability to talk or ask questions of a man and a woman, usually couples, not always, and mingle with the ship's personnel. You're in your bare feet here because you want to feel the carpet soft and soothing. There's an energy coming up from it that is very balancing and centering. In the center section of the ship on the lower level is a vast chamber, and in it is a 15-foot high, four-sided, golden-sided quartz cap pyramid that's radiating a certain white golden energy throughout the ship for its personnel that did not exist before some short time ago, and it wasn't created by the Galactic Alliance technicians or scientists either. It just appeared there one day. And it too is connected to the big pyramid between the two stable asteroids in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter, closer towards the Sun, and Saturn, a little further out, has the rings around it where the ship is stationed. The energy that's being generated through these pyramids is only of a constructive, uplifting nature. And it's increasing in its intensity as it moves through our solar system and through the planet Earth and its people. Let me just state this too, that the past polar flips of planet Earth that were cyclic have been permanently suspended. No more golden age to iron age for planet Earth. It's had enough. The only planet I know of that flipped its poles like that, an imbalance created when a planet was destroyed, which created the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter. It was moving at what, 50,000 miles an hour around the sun when it was blown apart? It's already in a centrifugal and centripetal force around the sun. So some of the asteroids get out, destroy the atmosphere of Mars, and balance Earth. But many of them stretch out and continue on their journey, held in gravitational field in a planetary orbit, which is how that asteroid field got there. You can see that we're all now in the central section of the ship. We're not in the lounge. We've moved to surround this pyramid. And inside this pyramid is a fountain. You can see right through the glowing golden walls now. It's turning on. And you see this white alabaster fountain on a pedestal, 15 foot wide. The spatial reality inside this pyramid is much different than the size of its structure within this cargo hold upon the Emerald Star Cruiser. And we're standing around it, all of us, and the several hundred master teacher men and women, all about our age, in this energy form that looks just like you, but is perfectly flawlessly healthy. And in it is standing a statue of a man, bronzed of skin, bald head, about 36, with 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, standing with a little white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare feet. His upper chest is strongly built, no shirt on, and this white golden light is pouring from the palms of his hands into the bowl, filling it, and it's pouring over the edge of the scalloped white alabaster, going down to the bottom of the hull and disappearing. And it's sending out pulsing energies, donut-shaped energies that move through us, right through the walls of the hull and go out into space. And this pyramid is connected to the one in the asteroid field. It's connected to the 3 on Earth. It's connected to those that have manifested between each star in our Milky Way galaxy fairly recently. And they are connected to similar devices up through the lower dimensions of time and space. That white golden shaft of light comes from above the void known to certain esoteric groups on Earth. It comes from a very much higher reality above this barrier between the upper worlds, the upper places that are not built of time and space, pure positive, and the worlds that are built from a dual current, positive and negative, woven together. Beings are meant to create with those 2 elements woven together with a third energy, a white golden light, 0-point energy, toroidal energy woven around it so that we can manifest form without repercussions in time-space, without the law of physics kicking in, without maya, without karma, even without reincarnation unconsciously in bodies. You're seeing all this on this journey out in our solar system on a kind, very advanced Emerald Star cruiser that came here from the galactic core, near the galactic core of this galaxy, to help solve these problems in the lower dimensions of time and space and on Earth permanently for the first time. You might as well become aware of this now, because what is moving through the planet Earth means that full disclosure must now take place. It is for the benefit of all beings on Earth, all animals, all plants, the rock, the mountains. It is what can neutralize all the negative things that have ever been sent out into the atmosphere that are still contained in the atmosphere that surrounds planet Earth. And then you find yourself suddenly hovering above the planet Earth and the moon. And there's Torellian and me, several hundred people hovering behind us, and all of us in a circle. And he's pointing to the world you see that has a big continent over it, from the left to the right hemisphere, the one that has the beautiful live moon with atmosphere, dome cities on it. And down at the bottom, near the right straight down the middle of the equator, the middle of the planet, from the north to the south pole, you see about a third of the way up from the southern pole, a crescent-shaped, radiant, glowing emerald green beach. You can see it from space. And we're drawn to it. Torellian moves forward, and we find ourselves moving through the atmosphere of this planet Earth. It's Earth, but it's in a higher parallel dimension, a higher molecular time rate, one of 144 parallel dimensions in the physical universe, the third one up. There's Earth you're familiar with, and there's another one, and this is the third one. And we find ourselves looking down on this crescent-shaped emerald green beach, blue-green luminous water, jungle trees that are vibrant, brilliant colors. And in the distance inland from the back of this emerald green beach, there's a brown moss-covered path, goes back about a mile, continues through a white marble floor clearing with a statue on it, goes up into the mountainside and up to a dome city, very large, situated on a lower plateau, and just to the right is a single snow-capped mountain. Up near 2/3 towards the summit of this mountain is a cavern opening in a blue-green luminous phosphorescent. It's got algae in it that is, it's not the right word, it's self-luminous properties. And it is dropping down thousands of feet along a sheer cliff face to disappear into the blue-green forest that surrounds the backside of this clear dome that covers 3 big 4-sided golden pyramids with quartz-like crowns. Off to the left in the background, there's a luminous kind of a blue-green lake and little ivory dome dwellings in the countryside, little white pathways of marble between them. And in the background, a semicircular mountain range with little waterfalls, put there for the aesthetic pleasure of the beings who work in that city. When you look around in this body form, that you have your toes wiggling now, and you look down and your toes are wiggling in this emerald soft green beach that's glowing a foot above the sand. You reach down and pick it up and you look at your hand, and you can tell that the little bits of grain are individually polished pure emerald crystals, and they're glowing. You look behind you out in the ocean, you can see Torellian standing up there to his knees in ocean water, smiling. 18 feet tall, and he's a spherical atma hovering above him, just like you. And you look down and you realize this emerald green energy is moving up your legs. It is both soothing and cooling, warming and invigorating. It's like you're breathing in the universe as it moves up your legs. And up to the top of your head, you look up smiling, and you look into the white core of your being hovering above you, and you realize you are looking at yourself. You can look down on the body smiling at you. You can look from the body up at your being. Both are you. And this green energy goes into the white core and swirls around it, center of your being. And then it moves out past the yellow, orange, and into the green layer and starts turning on certain teardrops in a certain thickness that surround you in that concentric circle of green light. That has to do with recalling, remembering who and what you are as an Atma, the nature of the grand multidimensional universe, and the many beings that live within it. It is about recall and recovery. Then you find yourself in space, above the planet. Trillian moves his hand, and you see that the Earth you're familiar with polar ice caps, and a barren moon that does not turn on its axis as it orbits the planet, is back in view. And then you find yourself standing in this beautiful 36-year-old body with a beautiful Atma you are, the real you, running this energy projection of a form so others can see, recognize you and identify you in a way. And then you see there's a man and a woman standing behind you, smiling. These are Galactic Alliance personnel. They were out of their bodies from one of the numbers of ships that circle the Earth, the scout craft. They are shifted out of phase so they cannot be detected by radar or seen visually. It's a technical term. The molecular time rate electromagnetic field that surrounds their vehicle simply has raised the atomic structure of the matter that makes up their craft to that which cannot be seen or detected from the parallel dimension you're familiar with. There are 4 couples in these crafts, a dozen patrol Earth now, and more the solar system where we live. 4 couples, 3 running the ship, 2 sitting in a seat somewhere in the back out of their bodies. And these beings are standing beside each one of you, smiling. They nod their head with their hand over their chest, and they simply let you know that if you wish them to, they will assist you to recover who and what you are and what you knew before you were born, every night when you're out of your body, gently, carefully, so that the experience becomes yours, and the return of conscious knowing certainty and the removal of doubt and fear can take place by your conscious co-creative participation. It's up to you. I make the introductions. And then you find yourself hovering as a spherical being near the ceiling, or up above a car, above grass, wherever you are, looking down kindly on the body that's in this trance state we call sleep. And you begin to open its eyes. You begin to make the brain open the eyes. And you send a little green energy beam surrounded by a white golden light down into the pineal gland of that brain and let it gently move out through your brain and body in an expanding circle of light. You can hear a sound of the hue humming through it. And it's going to connect to those 3 pyramids on Earth, to the fountain within it. It's really a device. And then out to the pyramid in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter and so forth. That energy goes to other pyramids and then is directed upward through interdimensional openings between the different levels of dimensionality in the grand multidimensional creation. It's like an incoming breath home. On Earth, it's said that people in human bodies who have 100% developed brain use but 6 to 10% of it. That's simply because they have not been consciously utilizing their higher faculties through that brain for a great time and in many lifetimes before here. This process now begins to turn things on that have been shut down. You might as well get used to it. You might as well enjoy it. There's no negative nature in this white golden light whatsoever. And it comes with its own form of protection for those who work with it. You will experience that for yourself. And it needs to be your experience, not mine. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you for the journey, Scott.
Oh, thank you for having the patience to allow me to do it and to have a radio show put on your YouTube channel. It's not my YouTube channel, it's Pari's. She co-creates this. This is her way of reaching out to her people. She speaks fluent English and Thai. There's things that she can help her people understand there. And there's many people from all over the world that have found these shows. They've contacted me. I know they're finding them. One way or another, they come across them. What's important isn't me proving to anyone about what we just did. What's important is that through the process, they discover the direct knowing certainty about it for themselves.
Yes.
This is about them having their own experience, not me telling them information, not about entertaining them either. That's not why I'm here on this planet at this time. What's taking place now is unique in all of creation. What's about to happen to Earth in the way it's going to happen. It hasn't happened anywhere before. Yes, there are beings that came into contact with people on whole worlds that were about to destroy themselves and help them out of that. This is the same thing, except there's a new ray, a new consciousness of creation running through the omnipresent living force that we call the void of space, that was not there before. That makes it possible to do what we're doing in an accelerated way for the safety of the entire creation, not just Earth, but Earth included. So if you have any other questions, Pari, anything like that, or?
No, I highly recommend to read your 2 books and go on many journeys if you guys want to. You will have great experience like me.
Go to paralleltime.com, PARALLELTIME.com. It'll be shown on this video when she puts it up on her YouTube channel. Go there and explore the free videos and things that are there that are designed to be of an enlightening nature to people on Earth. You can't buy anything at those websites. They do have the paralleltime.com website has links to all the trustworthy online retailers, Amazon, iBooks, and Google Play, and Barnes and Noble in the United States. And so you can get a print-on-demand copy of the book, printed and shipped in your local part of the world, or you can get it ordered through a bookstore like in Thailand where there is no Amazon, because Ingram Spark, who handles those distribution of my books and many other publishers, gets them into bookstores. They will be on the shelves in bookstores when this work becomes more popular, so that it can justify the shelf space. Otherwise, you can get them at any of these other ways. And the links to the right place, the correct place to get these versions, 5th version of this book, because it had to be created in a larger size, typos removed, and this cover. It took a lot of years to get this here, the way it's meant for the public to have it. So we're just starting to promote short, very powerful, very heart-moving videos that have been created with a wonderful woman who narrates them, about 1 minute and 20 seconds long. And we're going to be putting them out, marketed through YouTube and Amazon and other things to try to reach many millions of people soon. I think we're ready for that. So when you go to the site, you can click on the link and go right and find the book or the ebook without having to hunt for it. Or you can just go to Amazon if you're used to it and get them any way you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this one too, think of this as filling in a missing piece of your own past, as a lifetime and as an epoch on Earth before the poles flipped last time, because they're never going to flip again. And then think about also extraterrestrial involvement back then, good and bad. And then think of this as more of what's taking place and has changed out in the universe that's moving through the galaxy to make it possible to transform this planet, and the beings that are out there to help do that. That's present time. Okay. I guess I'll say good night and pleasant dreams to everybody.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Until we meet again, happy trails to you.
Next week.
Yeah, we're off the air.
Not yet, Scott.
Oh, I didn't stop recording. Then we are off the air. Okay.